Hi, and welcome to the Randy Karraker Show on Sports Hub STL. Sports Hub STL presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. The Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley, who's out on maternity leave. This is Matthew Rocchio, who does a fantastic job as our audio and video engineer, and then steps in and is an exquisite, a perfect co-host for this show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
And
thank you for that.
By the way, we should not dismiss the fact that while he is the co-host, he's also working as our audio and video engineer.
Oh, stop. No, you got to stop doing that, Randy. No, stop doing that.
We are a nice show. We're a friendly show here. We say good things about the Cardinals, who have won 7 of 8 series now, 8 of their last 10, knocked off the Orioles by a score of 6-4. And I don't know about you, but I was absolutely thrilled with Chip Carey's call of the Brendan Donovan home run.
Yes. How about that? Gosh, you reminded me, and I was doing a bad job this morning. I wanted to pull it, but I mean, just me, anytime that a moment can happen where I'm thinking like the Careys. This happened once when we were doing a post-game show presented by Hot Shots and DraftKings, where Stephen Carey agreed with a point I made about the Cardinals, and I was like, anytime a Carey is agreeing with my point about baseball, I'm walking away from the conversation happy. And also, when it comes to broadcast comedy, if I'm on the same wavelength as Chip Carey, I know I'm doing things right. Yesterday, I referred to him as Maury Povich, and of course, the home run call was Brendan Donovan. You are the father. I mean, Chip, you know I'm a big fan already. Just another incredible call. Another incredible call.
It was fantastic. And that led the Cardinals to the 6-4 win over the Orioles. A fantastic job by the bullpen. Miles Michaelis allows all four Orioles runs in his 4 innings. But after that, man, the bullpen was outstanding. And I think if we get to the end of the season, if you ask me the question at the end of the season, if the Cardinals, who are still on pace for 90 wins, if they win 90 games and are in the playoffs, it will be because of blank. I think that I'm still going to go with the bullpen. And the bullpen has not been perfect, but man, it was yesterday. Leahy, scoreless inning. King, scoreless inning. Maton, scoreless inning. Romero, scoreless inning. Helsley, scoreless inning. And the Cardinals have a lot of different options down there that they didn't have last year. And it's not like the bullpen's going to be the only reason, but their ability to protect leads so far this year has been great. And Helsley maintains his status as one of, if not the best closers in the league.
What did you say so many times across, by my count, the 2022, the 2023, and the 2024 season for the St. Louis Cardinals? Pitching, and more pitching. Yep. And that has been the ethos. It has never worked out. How many times have we talked about they have 7 starters and then somehow they only have 4 by the end of the season? And it's become a punchline at this point. But yet the pitching is the strong suit. And now when you combine it with an offense that's having everyone, for the most part, hitting above their usual career numbers, this is how you go on a run where you win at 8 out of 10 series and win the majority of your games for the most part, and put yourself in position to be challenging for your division. That's the formula right there, and it's playing out well.
By the way, on the chat, and we want you to participate on the chat on YouTube here. This could be Ben says that you are multi-talented. He's giving you big time props here.
I try to be. I try to be multi-talented. You got to be flexible. I need to get more hobbies. I need to
plastic. Now I'm elastic. I'm flexible.
I need to be able to build a deck. I gotta find talents that are useful outside of my career and at home a little bit.
So we mentioned 7 out of 8 series, 8 out of 10 series won. They've won 18 of their last 23. And I know you aren't questioning this team, and I'm not. And I'm not saying that they're the Dodgers or the Mets or the Phillies, but I'm saying that this is a really good baseball team, as opposed to at the beginning of the season saying that they would win between 71, which they won 2 years ago, and 83. I think they have a very good chance now to win more than 83 games. Long season, a lot can happen. I think they have a very good chance. I'm not saying they're going to, but I believe in this team now more than I did on opening day.
Call it pessimism or realism, what have you. Usually when a team outpaces themselves like this, I'm one of the first people to say, okay, where are the cracks that have been puttied over? Where is the water going to start seeping through when things start going bad? And the problem here, and the thing with the Cardinals here, I shouldn't say it's a problem, it's a very good thing to have, is even if things start happening bad, or even when things did, there's enough there to continually keep filling the holes. And when you have Nolan Arenado when he comes off his strong start, and he's had some big hits, but he's still been a very he's been a below average hitter for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Everyone else is stepping up. Wilson Contreras goes out, people step up. You get a little bit of a wobble at the back end of the bullpen, people step up. Miles Mikolas, Eric Fetty, they finally maybe have starts that aren't very solid. People step up. The fact that the fact that these 3 big things that we've been talking about, 4 big things, if you want to start talking about the defense, in addition to the starting pitching, the hitting, and the relief pitching, even if one of those cracks, they are good enough in every other facet of the game that they can still win games. And I simply didn't believe at the beginning of the season that they were going to be good enough in all 4 steps of the game to be able to withstand falling off in one of them. Now, I could be wrong, but right now it really looks like if they have a bad 2 or 3 weeks with one of those things, the other 3 will pick that up. And that's not a balance I believed they had in February.
No, and I'll be interested to see what the next couple of weeks holds. Number one, because the schedule softens up pretty significantly in the next couple of weeks. And if we look at the last couple of weeks, as an example, and this is why the Cardinals gave the young players the runway. Last 2 weeks, last 14 days, Jordan Walker, 333 average, 353 on base, 545 slug, 898 OPS. That's Jordan Walker over the last 14 days. Nolan Gorman over the last 15 days still has not played as much, but 263, 300, 368, only a 668 OPS. But in his last week, he has an 800 OPS, and things seem to be happening good for Nolan Gorman. Now, we know these guys have physical ability. They've shown it in the past, right? When Gorman hit the 27 home runs a couple of years ago, when Walker had the 787 OPS. Are these guys getting it back? Is this the product of the runway, or is this a flukish 2 weeks? And I'm interested, Matthew, to see whether or not these guys can sustain what they've been able to do for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and that's my big thing, because if they can sustain what they've been able to do, they're going to challenge the Cubs immediately for the lead in the Central by mid-June, because to your point about soft schedules, the Cubs are riding a soft schedule right now to a 3-game lead right now in the NL Central. So if things even out a little bit, the Cubs play a harder schedule, the Cardinals evens up a little bit, they could start challenging by mid-June with the Cubs. And to your point, I'm not sure who I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop on anymore. Because for a while there, it was, can Victor Scott II keep doing this? Mason Wynn had such a bad start. Now he's roaring back. What was it, just a bad start, or were there some things that pitchers were finding in the earlier season that he's corrected? Could we see that fall off again? Those kind of things. Is there an injury? Your point about the starting pitching we made yesterday. Is there an injury looming around the corner? Another one that could bite the Cardinals. Now, the thing to be said there is that they already withstood an injury to, statistically, their best hitter of the season, and still won games in that span of time. And so, yeah, to your point, I'm trying to find the other shoe to drop. I'm always trying to find the other shoe to drop, and I can't find it. To that point, this could be Ben on the chat. I'm still Randy Quaid from Major League. My faith is low. So I'll ask this could be Ben. I'll ask the rest of the chat. If you are a little cynical, if you're playing the realistic card, if you're not buying in just yet, what is your reason? What is your other shoe to drop?
And if it takes something, because we mentioned over the next week, Cardinals, the schedule softens up a little bit. The Rangers have struggled. The Royals, the Cardinals showed what they could do against Kansas City in Kansas City. Then the Doyers come to town, and maybe a little 4-game slice of the season can convince you. I won't be convinced the Cardinals are bad if they lose 3 or 4, or even all 4 to the Doyers, because the Doyers are good. Then the Blue Jays are in town for 3. And then we that's where we get to the point of the season where you're going to show your mettle. You got the Brewers at Milwaukee, and the Cardinals are at least as good as Milwaukee.
Yes.
Both from eye test, statistically, every measure you could take, the Cardinals are as good as Milwaukee. Then the Cardinals visit the White Sox, and you better not lose 2 out of 3 there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Reds come to town, and then the big series against the Cubs in the last final week of June. We'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show. But my point being that you can use these next 30 days from the start of this Ranger series tonight until the end of that Cubs series. And then the Cardinals go to Cleveland after that. So I'll give you that. We can use the next month to determine. That's a big sample size. That's a month out of 6 to determine what the Cardinals are capable of.
Yeah, they should cleave through the Rangers with their absolutely just horrendous hitting right now. We got a chat here from Tyler T talking about maybe some cracks in the Cardinals despite their success. Michaelis was bad last night, and what's closer to the real Michaelis, last night or the previous 5 starts? Well, at this point, you're looking at 6 good starts from Michaelis and 3 bad ones. Maybe you could say 5 good starts, 1 middling, and 3 bad ones. I just think that's. How many? I guess my question should be: how many teams in baseball are not getting that profile from their 5th starter?
Well, most of them.
I feel like that's what most 5th starters are going to give you.
Here's the thing: Miles Michaelis is not what he was the previous 5 starts. Games like last night, where it's absolutely miserable and it's rained all day and it's raw and the field is mud, I have a tendency to throw those games out. The mound is bad in a game like that. And he allowed 4 runs in 4 innings. He was not great, but normally for Michaelis, if it gives you 5 2/3, it gets you 5 more outs last night and still allows only 4 runs, you feel pretty good about it. That's where I think Michaelis is. I think he's somewhere in between last night, and I don't think that last night should be counted as a real start. Povich doesn't either. And what he was between the Boston start and last night, I don't think that's real either. I can't wait for the Cubs series at the end of June. It's going to be awesome, says Cards Fan 81. I hope you show up.
Yeah, I think they will be showing up. This could be Ben as we kind of transition to the next part of our chat here. It's not the players, it's the front office. The reason why he's not buying into the Cardinals, he doesn't trust that the front office will do the right thing. And before we continue that, I want to get this one really quickly from Bradley Schoenthal. Thoughts on if they should switch Herrera and Contreras at the cleanup spot? You're one of our lineup wizards, Randy Karraker. I don't want to manage against you, but what are you doing here with the cleanup spot?
Well, right now, if you're playing every game to win, then you go with your hottest hitter and your best hitter, and that is Ivan Herrera. And I think ideally, I know that Wynn is having a lot of success in the number 2 hole. I think ideally, Ollie would like to hit Contreras in the 2 hole.
Yeah, I think so.
So you'd have Newt Bar, but then do you hit Newt Bar, Contreras? Who would you hit third? I guess Donovan's your number 3 hitter.
Right? I can't. I don't want to move a guy who's 5th in the league in hits and has flirted with being the leader in the hits.
Okay, so it's
times.
Newt Bar, Contreras, Donovan, Herrera, and then you got to go lefty again, right? Correct?
I feel like you have to, yeah.
So I wonder what lefty you go with. You aren't going to hit Victor Scott there, are you?
No.
So maybe you're just going to go Contreras, Arenado, Walker.
Yeah, I think that's probably what you're going to do.
Have which would be for the Cardinals. That'd be different.
I forgot.
And then you can plug Burley in when you want to.
Where do you stand on the? You're in the Mason Wynn for leadoff spot camp, right?
I like Mason Wynn in the 2 hole. I like Victor Scott the second.
Victor Scott in the leadoff spot.
Hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a 2025 thing?
No.
Okay.
I don't. I know that Ollie Marmol is in love with Lars Nootbaar in the 2 hole, and he's getting on base 35.5% of the time. I have no problem with Nootbaar in the 2 hole. I think Nootbaar though. And they don't want to take him out where he's having success. But we're talking about somebody to hit down in the order. That to me, that would be the play, is to hit Nootbaar 5th.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
You hit, and now you're moving Contreras all the way down to 6, and I don't know about that either.
You're not doing that. Okay, never mind. You're not doing that.
And then you're moving Arenado down to 7.
And while we're talking about at-bats, I want to hit this from Samuel Howe. Move up equals more at-bats per year. If you do the math, it's not that many more at-bats. That should really not be part of the logic, in my opinion, because if you extrapolate it across like 140 games played, it ends up being like at the most like 16 at-bats across those 140 games. Because we're like the rate that the one hitter gets an extra at bat compared to the 6 hitter is like 0.4 per game or something, probably even lower than that, honestly, if we're doing the math. And so I just don't think that's actually a thing that should be material in your consideration, is getting them 16 more at bats across the season.
I agree. I'm with you. That's why I want to get Stephen Baum's chat up there, but I am not like, I know the other night Joe was talking about Herrera hitting leadoff to get him more at bats. That's not the way I roll either. I get that people think that way. Goldie hit leadoff on opening day for the Yankees. I think there are table setters and table clearers, and I want my table clearers being able to clear the table from the table setters. Okay, this is Stephen Baum, who says, part of it is I just can't bring myself to come and support a team that is accidentally good. Mo is keeping me away. And I see where you're coming from because of your disdain for Mo. But if you are a fan, a St. Louis Cardinals fan, why would you let a guy that you never see control something that you can come and enjoy, right? You don't see him. Sure, maybe the way the team was built bothers you, kind of like I was bothered by the fact that somebody who wasn't in charge, somebody who wasn't a baseball person, was running the 85 Cardinals. And they had gotten rid of Joe McDonald as the general manager. Lou Sussman was his name. And he made the Jack Clark trade. And he was a brewery guy. But he made the Jack Clark trade. And with Whitey's input, he also made the John Tudor trade. Well, I didn't like the fact that Lou Sussman was running the team. But once Clark starts hitting home runs and Tudor starts winning games and they call up Vince Coleman and they start winning, I'm not going to bail on a team that was really fun and won 101 games and wound up being my favorite team ever just because of the guy who was making the deals. Now, I get where you're coming from. You can have personal disdain from somebody, and that can prevent you from frequenting or patronizing a business. But I'm there to watch the players. I don't care who's up in that general manager's box. If the team is playing well, I'm intrigued and I want to go watch them play.
I'll admit, I don't have a consistent hard place where I shake on this whole on weaponizing your fandom, because part of me will always have the side of the only place you can speak as a fan to ownership is with your wallet. And I respect that. And Cole Bassett's left foot actually is chatting right here, says, imagine being a Rockies fan, Cardinals fans are spoiled. Did you see that clip that was going around of the news anchor on the Colorado station who ran down why the moral qualms he had about buying tickets for his family to go to a Rockies game? I completely
I think they're 10th in attendance.
Yes, I completely, and it's because it's a beautiful ballpark. You get the mountains there. I mean, it's a gorgeous ballpark. They did the bar scene around the ballpark and restaurant scene around the ballpark perfectly, in that you can spend a lot of time there before the game, get parked far away. It's a fantastic setup. But his point in that broadcast was, I have moral qualms about buying tickets because I know that it's not going to go to making this team better, and I want my kids to watch good baseball. So I understand that argument. I always will. But to your point, I also understand the side of the fandom of, I'm not going to let a billionaire ruin my love of a game or for my team. I want to go there and enjoy this sport at its highest level, played by players in a jersey with my city's name on it, because that's something that's special to me. And I think there's room for both. And I think it's hard to criticize a person for having either of those opinions.
Yeah. I respect everybody's opinion in this regard. It's your money and you should spend it the way you want. But going back to your point about, at the end of the day, the team being fun. And like Adam says here, in the opposite of Steven, we always go as a family to one game per year, but the energy of this team is getting me to look for tickets for a second game. Go Cards. And that's my thought. If you are a fan of the sport and what happens between the white lines, then this is a pretty fun team to watch. By the way, the Rockies are not 10th. I read somewhere that they were 10th in attendance. They're 16th in attendance, and they're actually behind the Cardinals at 27,000 a game, though. To have 27,000 a game going to watch that team, the Colorado Rockies, pretty impressive. Good for Rockies fans.
Ribbon of Cards says 67.55 more at bats over the course of the season. Leadoff gets 67.55 more at bats.
One of the things, they will not allow you to take half of an at bat. So that's one of the things.
Also,
it's like you cannot go up there and then sit and say, okay, I'm taking strike 2. And then they take you out for somebody else, and then you come back. Doesn't work that way. You cannot take 0.55 of an at bat.
Also, I have to ask, is that the difference between batting a full season at leadoff and batting a full season at second? or batting a full season at leadoff and batting a full season at fourth? What is the what are we
leadoff versus sixth?
Yeah, is that leadoff versus sixth? Like what? Sorry, versus sixth. Okay, so that's the difference between leadoff and sixth is 67.55 at bats. That's okay. Every single game, that difference. Okay,
so, and that's a guarantee.
That's material.
If you can guarantee me that he's going to have 4 more home runs,
wow.
I'll take it. I don't know that there are really guarantees. I mean, McGuire didn't hit 70 every year.
That's true. And listen, that's it's you play with fire when you extrapolate stats, but I also understand his point. It's never going to work that way. But
well, then this being the case,
getting him more at bats does make sense. I've always wondered how. I've always done the math and figured, first of all, what spot is he batting in? Are you going to bat him in leadoff? Does it make sense? What's the actual difference? 67 is a little bit more material than I was giving it credit for. That's fair from Rip It Off Cards. I like you bringing the numbers.
And with the absolute concrete, without questioned knowledge that the Cardinals are going to win 91 or 92 games, they should be selling out all the time, right? Because those numbers are real.
Yeah, Rip It Up Cards said that was leadoff versus 6. So 67 at bats. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe moving him up.
No, you don't. You don't move a middle of the lineup guy to the top of the order.
And
you don't move a guy that can drive runners home. You don't put him in the leadoff spot where he's not in a position to drive runners home at the beginning in the first inning or two of the game.
And the difference between 6th and 3rd or 5th and 2nd is going to be mitigated to, by, down to like 40 at bats. I listen, it's more material than I thought, but I still don't know if it's material enough that it should be a strong consideration when we're talking about building lineups. Adam Shiflett, I'm all about taking my wife and daughters to a baseball game and just having a good time, whether the team is trash or not. And that's a very healthy mindset, and that's probably the healthier mindset than to be thinking about how to take down a billionaire who's spending his money his own way. But I'll never take it against fans who can't help but be a little bit angry when the billionaire just is flitting away the thing that they love. I'll always understand that.
And sometimes people just don't run businesses well. I don't know about you, but I used to love Boston Market. It was great. It was a great business, great plan, great food.
I'm never a Boston Market guy. Right?
Oh, I loved Boston Market.
What was your go-to there?
So they had turkey, they had exquisite mac and cheese, and their sweet potato casserole. It was like Thanksgiving every day of the year. It was great.
Boston, was it just a restaurant?
Yeah.
It didn't have like a little like side market.
Oh no, not Boston Market. Boston Market.
That bothers me.
You ordered at a counter, and they had rotisserie chicken, they had meatloaf, they had turkey, and some other protein, and then they had a million really good sides. Anyway, the business was great, and it was rolling, but then they lost their way, and they didn't run their business well, and obviously wound up going out of business. We don't have any more here in St. Louis. I think that the Cardinals, this ownership, used to run the business really well, and they got passed up. I defy anybody to find the person that has been told that the DeWitt said, yeah, we just decided we wanted to lose. We're going to fritter it away because we decided we just don't want to be good anymore. I don't think that that's what has happened at all. I think that what did happen, and oh, by the way, the team never did finish it last in this time period. They had a losing season, which was terrible for everybody. They lost 70 or only won 71 games. But I think they just lost their way. And what they did was had a lot of franchises pass them up. Most franchises passed them up. And between 1996, when Tony La Russa was hired, and 2024, when Chaim Bloom was hired, they didn't bring anybody from the outside to tell them why they were being passed up. Anybody from the outside in terms of Major League Baseball. Yes, Jeff Luhnow came into the organization in 2003, came from the business world. He was with petstore.com or something like that. Gersh came from the business world, but they didn't bring anybody in from the outside. Now, the Cardinals and the DeWitt family have recognized the error of those ways, and the people that are going to be running this organization are sharp people from good organizations. Chaim Bloom cut his teeth with the Tampa Bay Rays, and we know what they've done over the years. The last couple of years have not been good, but when he was there, they were really good. He hires Rob Cerfolio from Cleveland. Find me a team that develops better young players than the Cleveland Indians, especially young pitchers again and again and again. Cerfolio brings over Larry Day, the minor league director from Cleveland. And he, again, look at the young players that Cleveland has brought through their system to the major league. Sometimes because of finances, they have to trade them, but they always have good players. Matt Pierpont, find me a better group of starting homegrown pitchers than what the Seattle Mariners have. He was in charge of their young pitchers in Seattle. Now he's in charge of the young pitchers in St. Louis. The Cardinals are doing a very good job of rebuilding this organization. And I'm not going to say that they intentionally frittered it away. I'm going to say they messed up. And I think by the moves they've made, they're admitting that they messed up, and now they're trying to get back to what they were trying to do in the first place, which is develop young players. And then when you have a good young core, if you have the opportunity to supplement them with veterans, you do so. Adults
are at the wheel making smart, logical decisions, and I can't get mad with that. Bottom line.
No. So it's and all we have to do, I mean, it doesn't take a genius, a baseball genius, to see that the organization has not been great for the last several years. But I'm going to give the DeWitts credit for actually recognizing the error of their ways and going about trying to fix it.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? You got to credit people who have been in a spot for a long time, usually get mired in their ways. And that's what happened. The fact that they were able to pull up late, yes, it was a bit of a nosedive, but they were able to pull up into the nosedive before they hit the ground. Yeah. And now John Mozeliak has a chance to really ride out of here in a winning way. And, I know some people are never going to be able to forgive 2016 to 2024, but I think or 2019 to 2024. I think maybe put a finer point on it. But I think it's credible what they've done this year.
And I think I will say that the organization on and off the field, they got arrogant. They started to believe that they were the smartest people in the room, but I think that they got smacked upside the head with that arrogance, and they aren't doing that anymore. Hey, we want you to know what's going on with DraftKings Pick Six, where the crown is yours. We're deep into the baseball season. We've got hockey. We're deep into postseason for hockey and for basketball. And if you're like me, you're locked into every pitch or pass or bucket. And that's why I've teamed up with DraftKings to bring you Pick Six, the all-new way to play daily fantasy sports. It is so much fun to play Pick Six because basically what you're doing is playing high or low. And there's so many things to do. Like you've got a great one tonight with the Indiana Pacers visiting the New York Knicks, trying to put away the NBA's Eastern Conference Championship. Jalen Brunson is at 30.5 points, and the Pacers are playing great defense. Even though Brunson is at home, I'm going to take him to get less than 30.5 points.
I like that call.
And then I'm going to go, and this is an unbelievable stat, but Tyrese Halliburton is at 21.5. Tyrese Halliburton is going over 21.5. So I'm going with an under. I'm just going with the stars here. I'm playing some star ball. Under for Brunson, over for Halliburton. And if you play today and you haven't been a player at DraftKings Pick Six before, just play $5 and you'll get $50 in bonus picks. That's 10 extra picks to keep the action going all week long. It's easy to start, easy and fun to follow, and gives you a whole way to stay connected to the game. You will watch the game in a different way. Trust me, if you are in the fourth quarter and Tyrese Halliburton is sitting there with 19.5 or 19 points and you need him to get to 22, it makes a difference. It really is an enjoyable way to consume sports. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app today and use the code STL Sports when you sign up. Only on DraftKings Pick Six, where the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, our buddy, there he is, Cam Janssen. He is a multimedia superstar. You heard him on Blues Radio. He's got the Cam and Strick podcast going, and he's going to be doing even more radio back in the radio biz here in our building at KLIS 590. And Cam is with us now. They're on the Zoomer. How you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? Hey, I got to apologize, Randy, for coming in yesterday hot and heavy. I haven't been to the studio in a while, and they really pimped it out. It looks great. And you were having a live show, and I came with a couple people, and I was loud, so I apologize about that.
You know what? You add ambiance everywhere you are. Never changed. Don't.
I'm
change.
annoying. I'm annoying. It is what it is. What's
You're
up,
my
guys?
guy. So we'll talk hockey in a minute, but I know that you are going to have fun being back on the radio with Jimmy the Cat Hayes.
Oh yeah. Well, we had a great time the last couple of years with Hot Take Central. Working with Jimmy every day. He gets there early with me, so we shoot the breeze about all kinds of different stuff. But we just want to entertain people. Okay, yeah, we'll break the Cardinals down, we'll break the Blues down, whatever hot topics in the sports world are going on. But we also just like to entertain. We looked at our, you can break down the stats on what segments got the most views or listens and whatnot, and a lot of it was Adam Wainwright trying to be a country star. I know we kind of chirped him a little bit, so that kind of blew up. Some blue stuff, more Cardinal stuff, but there's also stuff like that Ocean Gate submarine that was lost for like 2 weeks. We were on that trail the whole time. People were into it. That was such a weird, bizarre situation with those billionaires that half-assed that whole thing, and all of a sudden that thing implodes, and it just was so like little things like that. We just listen. The bottom line is we want to entertain, and we also want to engage with the fans. Chirp us. Sometimes you get stagnant and stale. There's not much going on, and all of a sudden you read the text line from a guy that's at work, not working, but he wants to chirp you, and it's hilarious. So I'm going to read that. So we invite that nonstop, and I really do like when Jimmy gets mad too, and he'll go toe to toe with anybody. So we're going to try to promote that as much as possible.
Yeah, if it's Cam Jansen and Jimmy the Cat Hayes, it's bound to be entertaining.
I don't know, Cam, if there was a non-sports topic that Randy would have wished he could have talked about more on the air than the Titans submergible tragedy.
I loved it.
And so I think honestly, I think honestly we might be able to convince Randy to be our tragedy correspondent on Hot Take Central whenever something really bad happens. We could get a good Anthony Jeselnik level joke from Randy right on the air right after it happens. Really traumatize some people.
Randy, I don't blame you for being into that. Like, that was top news for a long time. It was such a bizarre situation, and if you really dive into it, there's actually a documentary coming out on Netflix, so I'm going to be watching that. But they use like a PS1 gadget to be able to control things. It just was so weird. But things like that, I'm into natural disasters. Am I morbid? I don't know. They're interesting to me. Do I want people to die? No. So don't even ask that question, Rock, because I know that's coming. That's not the case, because other people chirp me about that. But when there's a big earthquake or a tornado or whatever the case is, I am all into weather and all that kind of stuff. So there's always something going on. We just want to entertain.
That's what it's all about. And it's 590 KLIS. And what time are you guys going to be on during the weekdays?
8 to 10 every morning.
8 to 10.
Although, Randy, I'm actually going out of town today, which kind of sucks. And we start Monday, and so I'm going to be out of town for the first show, which is fine because I'll be in Arizona, so I'll jump on and do a live segment. But I'll be hosting. Jimmy will be there. I'm sure we'll have a cast of guys coming in and out and stuff like that. Hopefully, Charlie Marlowe jumps in here and there and goes toe to toe with Jimmy again too, because those were one of the funniest bits I've ever seen in my life when those two go at it. But a lot of people have come and gone in that seat where Rocchio is going to be in right now. But Rocchio is a wily veteran in this game, and he's going to dig those cleats in, baby. And you're gonna bring on all comers, because I know how you do it, man. So again, this is gonna be fun. I can't wait to get back in the radio. I love that studio, and Dave Green's doing a really good job of putting this together.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. But are we going to be able to get this up so we can show it to Cam?
Yes, I'm pulling.
Okay,
I'm
working on it right now.
I'm pulling the photo up right now.
So you remember, Cam, when that submarine went down and submerged and the billionaire died? It was during the point of the Cardinals having a 71-win season. The Cardinals were kind of scuffling a couple of years ago. And so somebody sent this to me, and I thought, oh, you know what? This is absolutely perfect. So I've had this in my phone ever since, just because I find it to be epic. But there's so many things. The internet, as we know, is undefeated, and there's so many great things that happen. And so this photo that you're going to see in just a moment was brought to me.
Oh, Randy. I mean, I saw a bunch of those, and I did. Anytime something, happens like that, something just crazy, there's going to be memes out the wazoo on X, and I'm all here for it. Listen, there's it just worked perfectly at the time too, because the Cardinals weren't doing great, and there's a lot of negativity, and I just remember just weird stuff's happening. Ali Marmol and, the Tyler O'Neill and the Wainwright was being thrown out there every, fifth start, and he was getting banged up. It just was and that's when the radio listeners really like to chime in when there's negativity. Negativity sells, you know what I mean? So yeah, of course. They're laughing at that picture as well. So listen, it's all good. I laugh at everything. I don't get offended, so it doesn't bother me.
Sorry. Oh, all right, Cam, one of the all-time great St. Louis area hockey players. We had the 5 first-rounders. We've had, Pat LaFontaine was born here. We had Cam. We had the Stastny brothers. But here we are with Florida with 6 consecutive Stanley Cup Finals berths. Tampa with 3, and now the Panthers with 3. What is going on in the National Hockey League with Florida being the place?
Well, they have a great owner. West Point is billionaire. He's disciplined. He runs a tight ship there. He hired Bill Zito, who's a great general manager, made some great moves. Hey, rolled the dice on a lot of moves too. I mean, the Huberdeau, Matthew Tkachuk, that trade, everybody's like, whoa, what's going on with this? Huberdeau just had like a 120-point season. He saw something different in Huberdeau. Now he goes to Huberdeau's in Calgary. He's not living up to expectations. Signed a monster deal over there. So all these little moves that they made, they believed in Sam Bennett. They believed in Sam Bennett when the Calgary Flames kind of just brushed him aside. Now, you ask some of those cats up in Calgary how Sam Bennett was when he played there, and he was a skating 2-minute minor. So if you can't find your groove playing that tough style and you're taking penalties all the time, no one really knows what else you can do because they just look at you as a liability. So they got rid of him. Bill Zito's like, yeah, we'll take you. Okay, let's figure this out. You would work perfect in our plans. They did a lot of other little things. They got Nico Mikkola, by the way, who, the Blues passed on. Then he goes to the Rangers and they're like, nah, we don't want you. And then Florida's like, no, we'll take a 6'6" defenseman that could skate the puck out of the zone and plays physical and mean in front of the net. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take him. Look what he's been doing. So listen, man, not to mention, by the way, and I know I'm all over the place, but I don't really care. People want to play there. They want to play there. Now, what you can say, well, what about pre-2019? Oh, okay, well, whatever. Now they're on the map. Now they have a new practice facility. Now you see in Matthew Tkachuk driving to practice in his golf cart. None of that was shown back then. You really didn't know how great of an organization it was, because maybe it wasn't at that time, but just a great place to play. Listen, when you are in sunshine, whenever it's a grind and you're up in Winnipeg, you come back to home and it's 72 degrees outside, your body feels better. Mentally, you feel better. It all coexists. And when you have a great ownership group, a great GM, and they put together an unbelievable team, people are wanting to sign contracts there. So they might be good for a long, long time.
And those contracts, by the way, don't include any state income tax.
That's what I was going to point out, because
I didn't even bring that up. I didn't even bring it up. That is icing on the cake.
And I was going to mention that because not only do we have the success from 2 Florida teams and obviously 3 years of success from the Panthers that we're talking about, but also Mikko Rantanen wants to go to a team in Texas. That's also because of no state income tax. So and obviously Dallas has had a lot of success from their run as well over the last few years. So it really is crazy how these warm weather states used to be kind of a punchline because their rinks would cost so much money for all the air conditioning, and now they got all the extra money because they're not paying the state income tax, and players want to go there.
Yeah, you can go on and on and on. I mean, another thing, those guys can walk down the street.
Yep.
Matthew Tkachuk could be -5 in a game, cross-check somebody from behind, do stupid things, and ruin the game for the whole team. He could walk down the street after a game in Florida, and nobody will say one word to him. Nobody. They don't, that is nice. People are like, well, I want to be, they're popular enough, but if you're a player, you can be popular all you want. You just go on, you have social media. You don't need to walk down the street and have to, deal with fans left and right if you don't want to. If you want to be popular, post things on social media, you'll be popular that way. So there's other alternatives. You know what I mean? So it's nice now to be hidden and just do your thing on the ice. And then once that's done, you could walk down the street and nobody cares or bothers you. I'm telling you, that goes a long way. Or do you want to go up to Canada? Yeah, I'm in Toronto. Hey, Toronto's a great place to play, man. If I was playing as a 4th line guy, oh, hell yeah, I'd like to play for Toronto, be a part of that alumni and, just be in the spotlight. But if I'm a superstar, I'm like, no, why? Yeah, you might pay me a couple million more, but it's going to cost that much more to live in Canada. And you're getting, you walk down the street, people are chirping you left and right. It's almost not worth it. And that's why a lot of these Canadian players are like, I'm not dealing with that. I like the United States. I'm Americanized now.
And speaking of obviously the domination here from the Panthers, they make the trade for Matthew Tkachuk, and it's been 3 very good years. Jonathan Huberdeau, I was just looking at his numbers. He has the huge year, 115 points. He's put up 55 points last year and 62 points this year. So he needed 2 seasons to get to 115 points after doing it in 1 a few years ago. So
What's
3 finals runs.
What's he making? 10-5?
Yeah. That too. So they make the trade. Huberdeau hasn't been able to match that production, and the pick they traded away hasn't even been used yet by the Flames. Yeah. Just an incredible move by Florida, and I wonder if we'll see more teams trying to pull the trigger if another young star like Tkachuk becomes available again, and if that'll be as successful.
Who is that though, Rock?
Yeah.
Who's the next Matthew Tkachuk? Seriously. And hey, Matthew Tkachuk's the slowest guy in the league. That's a stat. He does, like, they do that, right? You ever see those where how many players get past a certain mile per hour when they're skating? Like, he's not anywhere close to that, but he just gets things done. And I look at it like this, man. Yeah, you can have big guys on your team, but they need to be in your top 6. Like Adam Lowry was tough to deal with. Like he gets enough ice time where he's effective. Like he's in your face all the time. Like you notice that. Matthew Tkachuk is getting ice time. Sam Bennett's not a big guy, but he plays big. Barkov is a big guy. You see what he did last night around the net, holding on to one hand, like get off of me. I'm stronger than you. Then I'm going to make a little move, and I'm going to kick it wide, and Verhaeghe's going to go bar down, and the game is over. You need to find, and it's tough to do, big guys that are in your top 6 that are willing to play big. And man, oh man, these winning teams, they have that. And you're really, really seeing that with the Florida Panthers. Or you got Draisaitl and McDavid. If Dallas doesn't put things together with Robertson and get some goal scoring from their veteran guys, man, they are donezo. But like dealing with Connor, go ahead and have 10 first picks overall, and you're going to get a McDavid and a Draisaitl like the Edmonton Oilers have done. So unless you have that, you better have some big, tough bodies playing in these playoffs, because that's where the game is, man. It's a bully league. They're mean. They're whacking. They're hacking. And I'll give Carolina a little bit of credit. They had 2 really good games. Last night they fell apart, but that game 4, they were magnificent. They played perfect, and they still barely beat the Florida Panthers in that game.
Cam, who do you like in the Edmonton Dallas game? You think Edmonton's just going to put it away here?
No. Nah.
It's in Dallas tonight.
I think Dallas's big boys are going to step up. Heiskanen's not healthy. Like he's not. Robertson, I don't know. I know he scored a goal. He's not healthy. Jamie Benn. Are you moving your feet quick enough? Tyler Seguin, you scored a goal in the first game. Are you quick enough to get around? I don't know. But I do believe in that team. They're still really, really deep. I believe in Pete DeBoer, their head coach, who coached me in with Jersey, who's an awesome guy, hell of a coach. So I do think they're going to make this interesting. I hope they do, because the numbers are down in the NHL. And I know they had a big kick from the 4 nations where everybody was watching. That was great. And I know the teams probably have something to do with it, but also the games have sucked for the most part. Last night was interesting, but for the most part, they've been blowouts. And
6-1s.
Yeah, how about you just entertain us? It always comes back to that. Just entertain us. I don't really care who wins. I like to see McDavid go toe-to-toe with Florida again with that 7-hour flight, by the way. 7. Do you know how, I know. Oh, yeah, you're on a private jet. Yeah, I know. No. But once your body's bruised up like that, and you're traveling 7 hours on a plane, your legs blow up so bad. Like you really got to watch that, man. I've seen guys get a Charlie horse, and all of a sudden they have like a blood contusion in their leg because you just got on a flight right afterwards, and they didn't realize what was going on, and they had an emergency landing. It was Henrik Talander. I remember that. So that's going to be a pain in the ass for both teams, but. I hope both teams are healthy enough to make it very, very interesting and rock'em sock'em in your face.
We're getting it on the chat right now, Cam. I've seen it all across Twitter and every other social media. You and Strick talked about it on one of the recent episodes of the Cam and Strick podcast. Is there any reason for Blues fans to even be Googling Sam Bennett? Is it in the realm of possibility?
No.
No.
Like, listen. Oh, yeah, maybe. He's not coming to St. Louis, dude. I just – what do you mean do? He's not going to Toronto. He's probably – unless somebody pays him an absurd amount of money, $10 million, which do you justify? You justify that because he's a playoff monster. So if your team's not even ready for the playoffs yet, and you're paying this cat $10 million to give you 50 points, like I don't know how that goes down. Like I don't know if that's worth it or not. But if I'm Sam Bennett, why, man, would you go anywhere? Take a little bit less. Hell, they'll probably pay $8 million. You don't need 10. You're in Florida. You're with a bunch of monsters. They all compliment you. You compliment them. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. I've seen some hardcore players, including David Clarkson, my teammate with the Devils, under Pete DeBoer, who scored 30 goals. He had power play time. He did this. He goes to Toronto, signs a $50 million contract, and he got bought out a year later. And he still doesn't even want to go back to Toronto anymore because he had to move because the fans were chirping him so bad in his family. And he had to move, and it just was chaos. So the grass isn't always greener on the other side. If I'm Sam Bennett, I ain't going nowhere.
I've got some numbers for you here. This is, and I want this from a player's perspective too. I argue that if you spend a considerable amount of money, your cap money on players, it's hard to win a cup. Here are the highest paid players in hockey. Austin Matthews, number 1, never won a cup. Nathan McKinnon, number 2. He won a cup before he got the contract. Connor McDavid, number 3, never won a cup. Artemi Panarin, number 4, never won a cup. Elias Pettersson, number 5, never won a cup at $11.6 million. William Nylander, number 6, never won a cup. Erik Karlsson, number 6, never won a cup. Pasternak won a cup before he got the contract. Tavares has never won a cup. Rasmus Dahlin has never won a cup. Doughty won a cup too before he got the contract when there was still a balance in the Kings payroll. Marner has never won a cup. Carey Price, number 13. Huberdeau, 13th, tied for 13th highest paid player. Do you agree with me? And I want your honest opinion here, that players under this cap system can make too much for the team to be a Stanley Cup champion?
Yeah, of course. We've seen that firsthand with Toronto. Like you got to be able to spread it out. You really, really do. I mean, one injury, yeah, you could have 3 monsters on your team. They're paying the best in the league, 3 monsters, and you're paying them just a huge percentage of the cap hit. And one of them goes down. I mean, like, you got to be able to spread that out a little bit. It's okay to have a couple superstars here and there. Like, don't get me wrong, but man, oh man, when you allocate that much money to just a couple of players, that's tough. Now, the cap's going up. These contracts are going to look different. It's certainly going to go up the next 3 years. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But you really got to be – it's tough. Like the Mitch Marner situation, you're going to pay him a ton of money. Like, it's – like, listen, I'm telling you, there's so many good regular season players. They're just it's slowed down. It's just a slowed down game. It is. And some of these guys, man, will be able to handle that. You're not getting hit every single shit. Guys kind of take games off here and there. It is the complete opposite in the playoffs. And that's why guys struggle. Some of these superstars that have 100 points, 94 points, 100 points, and they don't do anything in the playoffs. It's because it's a completely different game. So, man, oh, man, you're paying these guys for what they do in the regular season, and you're paying them a ton of money, and it just doesn't pan out in the playoffs. You really got to sit back and evaluate that and be like, how can we allocate this a little bit better? So I 100% agree with you. The cap is going up. And if you do really like a guy and you maybe overpay for a Sam Bennett that's proven in big-time situations and you think your team is almost there and you need a guy to take you over the edge, I'd overpay for him. But you do that to a couple other guys and you know, then your fourth line's a bunch of basically no-name guys. Like you got to be able to roll lines. So I don't know, man. That's a tough one. There's not many superstars available, so if you can get one, it's especially for the Blues or whatever the case is, like it's a different story. But yeah, no, it's tough to be able to pay a lot of money for maybe 4 guys and expect to be that deep.
And Cam, I've been around enough locker rooms and seen this happen that if the guys that have bled for a franchise are not being paid as much as a new free agent, if you bring in a free agent from the outside and he's your highest paid guy, that pisses a lot of people off.
God, yeah. Just like in any business, just like in any business, radio to this and that. You're like, I've been grinding here for 10 years. Here are the numbers. Here are we at, and you're paying this guy to come in. You're paying him more than me. What are we doing here? That goes with everything. Yep. But yeah, you're right. Guys, listen, they might sound like, no, we're all selfish in our own way. Okay. We are, some more than others. But if you're a pro athlete, you got a bit of selfishness to you. And you notice that too. You evaluate all that stuff, especially when it comes to money. You're damn right that's the case.
There it is. Cam Jansen. He's one of the co-hosts on Hot Take Central, I should say re-debuting Hot Take Central 2.0 on the new KLIS 590 AM on Monday morning. Cam, thank you so much for joining us today here on Sports Hub and the Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley.
By the way, Cam, a good friend of the Fenton Bar and Grill.
Oh, yes. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, Fenton's, that's how, those are my people out there, baby. Those are my people. Eureka, Fenton, all that. My people. Although I am in St. Albans now and I am a fancy lad, so I gotta tell you that too.
All right.
So it is what it is.
Good to see you, brother. Thanks.
See you guys. We'll talk soon.
Because you're on till 10. There will be mornings where I'm just going to pull you right over here.
I know you are. I got you. We're teammates now.
We are. It's awesome.
Let's go.
Again, thanks, Cam.
You know what? You can run your mouth now with a little bit more impunity with a teammate like Cam.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, I'm mild. Yeah. So, hey, speaking of the Fenton Bar and Grill, there's a lot of great things happening over there, including their trashed wings, which are absolutely unbelievable. They're exquisite. You'll love them. They're dazzling. They're delicious. And you will love them. And they'll be the best wings you'll ever try. Take it from me, Randy Karraker. I go there a lot. And I eat the trashed wings a lot. You know what, though? I had a salad the other day. I had a chicken Caesar salad a couple of days ago at the Fenton Bar and Grill. It was absolutely delicious.
Can I ask describe what kind of chicken are we getting in the salad?
Oh, it's a beautiful grilled chicken. Very tender, very juicy.
Is it warm or cold?
It's warm.
Okay, see, sometimes it throws me off when I get a chicken Caesar salad and the chicken's cold.
Oh, no, this is warm. It was absolutely fantastic. I really do like their chicken Caesar wrap is really good, too. They have all kinds of good wraps. Their buffalo chicken wrap. You see the tater tots there on the side. You see the toasted rab, which are fantastic at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Great patio. It's a great place to hang out. Meet your friends there. Maybe after a round of golf, have a great lunch, have a great dinner. The servers are fantastic. You can say hi to Megan and Jamie and Candy and Peyton. They'll be around today. Whether it's to watch a game and you've got plenty of things to watch tonight, hang out after golf, maybe have a business lunch or a great dinner, stop by the Fenton Bar and Grill. It's on Rudder Road, 2 minutes away from the soccer park in Fenton. They have music every Friday and Saturday night. Say hi to the 2024 Maitre d' of the Year, Chuck. You'll have a great time at the Fenton Bar and Grill, the dive with a vibe, and tell them that Randy sent you.
Do you mind if I handle a little a question we're getting here on the chat about because
about the Fenton Bar and Grill?
Well, actually, first of all, just go to the Fenton Bar and Grill. But one of the places that we'll probably be meeting for some post-show lunches with Cam and the crew is going to be the Fenton Bar and Grill.
No
Ellipses 150 was asking about Hot Take Central. Hot Take Central is a returning show from the old iteration of 590 where Cam and Jim were doing it. So there are podcasts out there right now you can listen to that have the name Hot Take Central. The show does not start until Monday again. So the ones you were listening to are old ones, but it will have a similar flavor. A lot of goofing around. Cam and Jim like to have fun.
A lot of hot takes.
Charlie comes on. Brendan Schaefer comes on. I will be behind the board for that show. So yeah, it's gonna be a wild and crazy time.
Wild and crazy guys. Looking forward to it. That'll be Monday on 590. I was thinking about this earlier because the Cardinals are engaged in, I think we can reasonably call it a race with the Cubs. And there's some things that the Cardinals might want to do. And John Mozeliak talked to the Post-Dispatch about the race, air quotes. And he said that if we're playing well, why wouldn't you want to keep trying to play well? And talking about perhaps selling if the Cardinals would get into that position.
I wasn't prepared for the Mo. No. I know you usually do the Mo voice, but I guess I wasn't prepared for you to go right into the Mo voice when reading the quote.
He said that their decision making at the deadline might look a little different based on how we're playing, which is great. I think that if the Cardinals are going to make an effort to win, that they should. That being said, if they decide not to buy, or not to sell, rather. What do you think they need to buy? Because I don't think they want to give up their young assets. And right now, unless you can find a legitimate front of the rotation starter, maybe Sandy Alcantara starts pitching like a number one again, and you go out and get him back or something like that. Maybe you do something like that. But right now, they actually have more bats than they can use. They aren't playing a couple of bats every night that they can utilize. And their bullpen is solid. I guess you can always use another arm down in the bullpen. I would not want the Cardinals to give up good future assets for a Band-Aid for this year.
I agree with that one. And I'll bring up 3 quotes from that excellent piece by Derek Gould on STL today.
Okay, you got to do it in Mo.
From John Mozeliak. I'll do it in Mo. Can I get in character?
Yes.
Arbitrage, stepping in the bucket. You got to use
low hanging fruit.
Low hanging fruit. You got to use your catchwords to get into it. You know, like it's like if I wanted to do a Cosby thing. Yeah. Like if I wanted to do Cosby, I'd start talking about sweaters. It's like how you lock into your joke.
Good.
3 things. There are decisions that are made to help us in the here and now, and there are decisions that might help us in the future. You weigh that. So first of all, that decision right now, I think, and then combine that with the very last quote. Right now, I think letting it be very organic has been fun, which is only John Mozeliak and physicists will use the word organic and fun in the same sentence. But to his point, though, I think those 2 quotes tell me that they're not going to force a buy if they're winning. It just will be a situation where they don't sell, and maybe some of the mindsets change. When I talk about mindset, what am I talking about? Well, another line in there, the only quote I have here from Mo is the phrase high level. A high level edict remains to play the youths, and they asked Mo.
What did you say?
I'm sorry. The youths. The Utes.
The Utes?
The Utes, yes. Them 2 Utes. Will winning more, and so my question, and so the question was, if they start winning, youths. If they start winning, Positronic. If they start winning, will they change that edict? And Marmol pretty much says he doesn't see the style of play changing. And we're referencing, will they change how they use certain relievers, or will they change when they use pinch hitters? And essentially they're saying they will not change that even if they are winning. So what I'm taking from those 3 points is that even if they're winning, I don't even think that the conversation has changed to who do we buy? Where do we add? I think it's more, we're just going to let this thing keep rolling, because to a long-term team building perspective, not trading Helsley and potentially only getting a draft pick from him moving on after a qualifying offer, that would be the risk or the sacrifice of potentially trying to win this year. You don't need to add on to that by making an additional move.
And this is why a guy like Wilson Contreras is valuable, because he's been through a pennant race. He's been through the playoffs. He's won the World Series. The only Cardinal, I believe, that has won the World Series, if I'm not mistaken, on the current roster. Am I wrong? Tell me if there's anybody else that I'm leaving out here. But I believe the Cardinals only have 1 world champion on their roster right now. And I've mentioned this for years because I recognized it way back in the 80s when I was watching. And I would talk to Mike Shannon a lot about how the game changed when the calendar flipped to September. And he would say, big boy, it's a different sport. And it is. If you watch and you see the intensity and you see the style and you see the way that you have to play to win in September, it's kind of like when you go into playoffs, like in the Stanley Cup playoffs. September is a different sport. And there are a lot of young players on this team that need to learn what it's like to play in September. Helsley has been through it with the race back in 21. Obviously, Steven Matz pitched. He wasn't on a world champion, but he pitched in the World Series for the Mets in 2015. You've got some guys that have seen Septembers, but most of these young players, primarily the position players, need to see what it's like and experience what it's like in September, not unlike what the Blues young players had to learn about when they played in the playoffs. And I would want these players to play in September. I would not want to get somebody on this team to block a young talent from playing in September.
And that's what they were talking about with the edict to play the Utes goes to those moments. The give them the crucial moment. Yes. The left-right matchup, the pass matchups, heck, even the current game setup. Jordan Walker might be going to the plate in the 8th inning with 2 men on, and he might be 0-3 with 2 strikeouts. But is the result of that game more important than him learning how to hit in that game, even if they're 4 games above 500 in September? That I think that's maybe where we see a slight change. Right now, they're still going to give Jordan Walker. Maybe the difference is if they're still winning and they're in a playoff position in September is that, okay, we won't give Jordan Walker that opportunity every time. We're going to maybe pinch hit for him there. But beyond that, beyond a situation every once in a while, when you're pivoting and say, listen, we can win the game with this change, let's make it. I'm okay with them potentially sacrificing wins on the margins for Jordan Walker to be hitting more often than not in that situation. I'm absolutely for it.
And I am too. And here's why. Because I think even when if the Cardinals would make the playoffs, I think they could beat a team. They could win a series. Weird stuff happens in baseball all the time. But could the Cardinals go through a gauntlet that includes, among others, the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants, and maybe even the Diamondbacks? Could the Cardinals handle a best of 5 and then a couple of best of 7s against those teams? I don't know if they could. I don't think that at this stage the Cardinal talent level lives up to what the Phillies bring to the table, what the Mets bring to the table, what the Braves, Dodgers, Padres, and Giants bring to the table.
Unfortunately, not a 7-game series against the better team because your 4-man pitching rotation is Sonny Gray. I'm okay with that. Matthew Liberatore, I'm feeling good with that. Okay, now I don't feel so good anymore. Things have fallen precipitously off a cliff a little bit, and I don't really feel too great about 3 or 4 because Fetty, again, he's extremely tradable, but if you're talking about sticking with him, the numbers haven't been great the last month for him. Miles Michaelis isn't a guy you want to be having to pitch against the Dodgers lineup consistently. And Andre Palante, he's been solid, but again, I think we've seen what his ceiling is. And if he's not hitting that ceiling, he is a regular season 4, which means I don't know if you want to lean on him as a 4 in the playoffs. So that's where I'm still at a point where I just doubt this Cardinals team being a championship level team because that just elite pitching just kind of falls off a little bit of a cliff after Gray and Liberatore. And it's not a shot against any of those guys. They're solid pitchers, especially for what they're getting paid, but they're not the cream of the crop when it comes down to it in playoffs.
So we get this one from our buddy Samuel Howe. So no trading Gorman for Luis Ariz, but at least you're trading DH for DH, so you're maintaining your 4 DHs on the roster if you make that deal.
And again, you also got to keep the fact the DH position needs to have as little slug as possible relative to the rest of the league in that position.
Yeah,
just keep that slug as low as we possibly can.
This could be Ben. I want Miles and Fetty gone, but who is going to take those arms? Is someone really going to want one of those two? And injuries happen, and when you look at the back end of some of these rotations that are in contention, I think there will be a spot for Fetty more than Michaelis. But if Michaelis continues to pitch well, I could see it happening. If there are injuries to teams that are in the hunt, I could see the teams wanting to shore up with the back of the rotation guy. That's why the Cardinals got Fetty last year, because they thought that he was that guy. So I think that not that you're going to get You're not going to do a Larry Anderson for Jeff Bagwell deal for those guys, but could you get somebody to take them off your hands so that you can open a spot for McGreevy? Yes.
A starting pitcher, his deal when prorated for the second half is $4.5 million. That's a rounding error.
Yeah,
right. For a starting pitcher, that's a rounding error. That's nothing. Yeah. That's why a team would take Eric Fetty, is because he has an arm that throws major league level pitching, and he is cheap. I mean, that's just a fact. Mama, the best number 3 starter on this team right now is an opener than Matz for 5 innings. That's such a good comment. God, I love that.
Palante is okay. Palante gives you good outings now and then. I can live with.
Stacey Tuberville, our best number 3 is Michael McGreevy.
Well, he's pitching really well. And Matthews is back, by the way. And Tink Hence is pitching again. How about that?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Who would have thought that would happen this year? But he is. Now, I don't know if he's going to pitch well, but he is pitching. But no, I could. So you're starting Sonny Gray in your. I'm starting Liberatore in my first.
I'm with you on that
working
one.
ahead.
Yeah, I'll go there. I'll start Liberatore in game 1 and Sonny Gray in game 2.
Sonny in game 2, which is
don't know what to do with game 3 and 4.
Okay, so okay. I'm going to give you the choice. You've got Michaelis, you got Palante, you got Fetty, or Mats. I'll give you Mats too.
Where are we golfing?
San Diego?
Yeah. We're golfing. Sorry.
It's they could, and that's why
you can win a 5-game series.
Yeah, that's why they're having this year. That's why this year exists. One other thing I want to talk about. You know what we'll do? Let's talk first about our friends at Hot Shots, because they got a cool thing coming up this weekend. It's June 1st over at Hot Shots, Sunday, June 1st, and they're celebrating their 35th anniversary at Hot Shots. It's June 1st at the original Hot Shots in St. Charles, which is a great place. Biggest party ever, an all-day celebration with food, drinks, music, special guests. You're going to be able to meet Rizzuto and Ray from 105.7 The Point. You'll have some celebrity bartenders from City SC. You can meet Louie and Bushwhacker, a couple of our great mascots in town. You're going to have prizes all day, adult carnival games, and the Clydesdales. You can get your picture taken with them from 2 to 4. It's going to be a lot of fun. We will be out there with Sports Hub STL. So here's the games, though. The Smirnoff Darts Tournament starts at noon. It's $10 to enter, singles and doubles, prizes and drink specials, okay? Then at 2 o'clock, it's your Una Vida Patio Bags or Cornhole Tournament. That starts at 2, and it's a $10 buy-in as well. And then the Coupe de Grace, the taco eating contest, hosted by Riz at 4 p.m. The grand prize is tacos for a year, plus a car show from noon to 4. You can check that out. A $25 donation to Wonderland Camp to get in there. It's all happening Sunday, June 1st. Come early, stay late, party like it's 1989. Full details at hotshotsnet.com. Don't miss the blowout celebration. Hot Shots turning 35, and you are invited. Okay, I wanted to get one more baseball thing in here.
Go for it.
Because the schedule, and we talked about the perfect schedule yesterday, but we didn't talk about how bad this schedule is. That the Cardinals haven't faced the Cubs. They come here in the last full week of June. We'll have played almost a half a season before we see the team that we're facing or chasing, or will be chasing the Cardinals in the National League Central. Then the Cardinals go there over the 4th of July weekend, which is also stupid, because people go to games on the 4th of July weekend anyway. You don't need the Cardinals in there on the 4th. You should have them there at another time in July where you can sell more tickets. Then the Cubs are here in August, and the Cardinals wrap up the season there in the last 3 games in September. So 13 games against a team that you're battling for the division, and you only see them in the second half of the season. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a joke. We talked about the schedule earlier this week. That is easily the worst part about it. You spread out the rivalry matches. Make sure there's ones early around Memorial Day. Make sure there's some deep in the summer after school ends, so that you can have maybe an afternoon, maybe a series with an afternoon game, so you can get some kids involved with it and things like that. When it's the summer, those are always a July Cubs series. Is there anything better in baseball? Awesome. Oh my God, it's one of the best things about being a St. Louisan is a Cardinals Cubs July series. And then make sure you have ones in August and September in case there's a division race. This isn't that hard. This should be the simplest part of building a schedule. I don't know how this league of all leagues has issues scheduling rivalries like this. This isn't hard. Like especially considering it's the one that has multiple teams and cities, which should tell you we have to have moments because we need to get Cubs White Sox. We need to get the Subway Series. Who cares about LA? Certainly not Angels fans. But we need to get these things right. And I can't believe they screwed up routinely.
I will give baseball credit where credit is due here, however. The Cardinals' last 5 series, they play at Milwaukee in the division, the Reds here in the division, Brewers here in the division, then they go to San Francisco, and then they wrap up with the Cubs here or in Chicago in the division. So at least they're playing a preponderance of division games in the month of September, although they do play 3 against the Athletics and 3 at Seattle in September too.
Yeah, that's a good end of the schedule, but I mean, everything in the lead up matters too. That's the thing about baseball. You can't get away with the because of how baseball is so long, you can't get away with the hockey thing of it's 2 different seasons as a way to pass it off. And we all know the NBA is flawed. Baseball's the one where it's like people buy into game 4 just like they buy into game 94, and you should build the schedule like that.
Yeah, so it's simple.
I think I think the way that we process the Major League Baseball schedule, it's unique. It can never be done. If you started even a baseball league right now and said we're having 162 games, you would get laughed out of meetings.
Mhm.
People who doing people doing the TV contract would be like, oh, that's a lot of TV. We could schedule that. I mean, it's a lot of TV added space, but everyone else who you talk to in that meeting would laugh you out of the room. It's too long of a season. It's too many games. You're kidding me. But baseball has been grandfathered into this world, and therefore take advantage of it. Stop screwing up the one key thing you have over other leagues.
Yeah. Hey, the 2025 STL Sports Show takes place at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield starting tomorrow through Sunday. There's going to be autograph signings from Grant Fuhr, from Ryan O'Reilly of the Nashville Predators, Roman Berkey of St. Louis City SC, Arma Membo of the Jets, and many more. Tons of vendors are going to be there. All you need to do is go to stlsportshow.com to find the schedule and all of the information. VIP packages and photo ops are also available for most of the athletes that are going to be on hand. And right now, use the code SHOW15 and you can get 15% off tickets for Grant Fuhr, Ryan O'Reilly, and Roman Berkey. It's the 2025 STL Sports Show tomorrow, May 30th through Sunday, June 1st at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield. Go to stlsportshow.com to learn more. All right, last night you had one ticket punch to the NBA Finals, the dominant Oklahoma City Thunder with an impressive win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't know if the Thunder were more impressive or the Thunder were less impressive, but the Thunder take care of the Timberwolves, and they're going to the finals for the first time since 2012.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, and I couldn't help but look. This is unbelievable because I saw somebody pointing out that how young this Thunder team is. And listen, they are undeniably a very young team, and we love the word runway. They have hit the runway already, and they have a lot more left. I mean, think about this. This is insane. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the reigning MVP, is 26 years old. Jalen Williams, one of the most important players on the roster, 23. Luguentz Dort, 25. Isaiah Hartenstein, 26. Kaysen Wallace, 21. Chet Holmgren, 22. Aaron Wiggins, 26. Isaiah Joe, 25. Alex Caruso is one of the oldest players on the roster at 30. And then Jalen Williams, another one of the important players there at 22 years old. This team is wildly young and has so long in front of them. Record scratch. Because go back to 2012. 23-year-old Kevin Durant finished second in MVP voting. 23-year-old Russell Westbrook finished 12th in MVP voting. 22-year-old James Harden, 6th man of the year. 22-year-old Serge Ibaka, the second in defensive player of the year. And yes, they did not have the bench depth, but that was the 4 best players on the 2012 Thunder. And that was the only finals they made it to. So it's crazy to me that a team can reload like this, get another chance. And I really hope that it doesn't have such a short life and they don't make the mistakes that they made in 2012 and 2025. It's awesome. I love it. I don't care what the haters say. This is going to be a fantastic finals, and I can't wait to watch the Thunder.
I don't remember what that team was like defensively. This team, for being as young as they are, has really bought in defensively, and they exhibit great effort on the defensive end of the floor. And that's the biggest reason that they win. Throughout the regular season, they always said, and the players took pride in it, they said, hey, the reason that we're great is because we play great defense. And they have one of the best defensive players in the league. You mentioned Dort. He's fantastic. But everybody makes an effort defensively on the Thunder. That's why I think they'll handle either Indiana or the Knicks, and it'll probably be Indiana because of their great defense. And you wonder what would have happened had they, number one, they made a mistake in trading Harden when he was a kid. But that team didn't really try defensively like this team does.
And it's funny you say that because the reason they traded Harden was because they had room for 3 supermaxes essentially. Obviously, Durant and Westbrook were going to get them. They finished second and 12th in MVP voting respectively, and they would go on to both win MVPs. And James Harden's winning 6th man of the year. But they chose Serge Ibaka because he finished second in defensive player of the year voting, partially. That's not the only reason. But because of Serge Ibaka's defense, they thought, well, we have offense taken care of. we have Westbrook and Durant. People are already asking us if there's only one basketball to go around. Do we have too much? We just need defense. And so they traded away a future MVP in James Harden because they had to focus on defense with Serge Ibaka's contract. So it's funny that you pointed out that way, but to your point, they didn't play defense like that. This team is incredible at defense. They are in your face. Obviously, anytime you have Alex Caruso and Luguentz Dort, defensive playmakers, which is a rare phrase, but it's true with those guys. That's the difference. And the difference also is that Thunder team and that later Thunder team with Westbrook, they were trying to win by combining guys like Russell Westbrook with defense-only players like Andre Robertson, who was a great defender but had no shot, couldn't score 10 points in most games. If you gave him the attempts, guys like Luguentz Dort and Caruso are not fantastic offensive players, but if you put the ball in their hands, they can hit open shots. Dort hit 6 3-pointers per game this year at a 42% or 41% clip, and Alex Caruso hit 3 threes per game at a 35% clip. That is well over above average and right at average. So that is a big difference between the depth players and what they're able to do while playing defense.
And pretty interesting that you've got in the East, especially old school defensive guys like Thibodeau and Rick Carlisle, both great defensive coaches. Mark Daigneault is a great defensive coach in his own right, and Chris Finch in Minnesota. It was a group of coaches that start with defense.
Yes.
Here. This is not a Mike D'Antoni type of situation where they don't worry about defense. They start with defense. And before we wrap up the basketball conversation, it drives me crazy. And it comes mostly from the basketball media. And I'm not in a basketball town, an NBA town, so I don't really talk about it that much. But for people to blame Anthony Edwards and think that it's some crime against humanity that he hasn't won a championship yet. And they don't think about the fact that Michael Jordan got drafted in 83, right?
Yep.
Won his first championship in 90.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James got drafted in 03, didn't win a championship until 10, and he had changed teams to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You look up and down, obviously Tim Duncan won early, but the guys that carry teams, and that's what Anthony Edwards is expected to do. The only young guys who have really done that early in their career are Bird and Magic. That's it. There aren't any other really young guys that have led their teams to championships. And oh, by the way, having a surrounding cast is not a bad idea either. But there aren't many guys around that have led their team to championship in their first or second year. He's in his 5th year, but I think we're way too microwave. He's 23. His career isn't over. He's going to get more opportunities, and he does need a better surrounding cast.
In Michael Jordan's, so this is, excuse me, I did 3rd year in the league. That was a mistake. So this is Anthony Edwards' 5th year in the NBA. In Michael Jordan's 5th year in the NBA, he won. He just missed out on MVP. Finished 5th in Defensive Player of the Year awards. And I'm trying to find out right now, but Basketball Reference is going very slow. They lost the Eastern Conference Finals in 6 games to the Detroit Pistons that year. In his 5th season, when he was 2nd in the MVP voting, they lost the Eastern Conference Finals. To that point, you look at Anthony Edwards. I saw something today saying, talk to me about Anthony Edwards when he does what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can do. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was not playing in the Western Conference Finals his age 22 season. He wasn't doing it. Anthony Edwards just did that. And that's a stark difference between the two things. Anthony Edwards is going to be a star. He's going to be incredible. He's a guy who was thought as a raw prospect coming out in 2020, and he just finished a season where he shot 40% on almost 11 threes per game, and he was the best step-back three-point shooter in a league that still includes James Harden.
Yeah, and this is SGA's 7th year. So let's just cool our jets a little bit on Ant, who's, by the way, very fun, great personality, and I think people are, unfortunately, that they're placing this burden on his shoulders that he shouldn't have to deal with right now.
And to your point, just talking about, I know we getting some comments in here about this being good for the league and things like that. I think this is great for the league because if people pay attention, your point about the Thunder, they are the best defensive team in the league. They play defense like crazy, and they are going up potentially, if the Pacers win, they're going up against the team that passes the most in the league. So all I've heard over the years is that the league is all one-on-one ball. It's all 3-point shots, and there's no defense. And yet the teams that are going to make the finals are not only defensive stalwarts, but they are two of the best passing teams and the best passing team by far and away in the Indiana Pacers. And to have some fun with that stat, we know that Tyrese Halliburton had a great game the other night. He had a triple-double, he had 15 assists, and he had 0 turnovers. So I thought this was fantastic. Sports Radar put out this great graphic where they compared Tyrese Halliburton to other great playoff passing performances in the NFL. He had 77 passes, no interceptions for 444 yards, which would put him third all time in playoff passing for 400 yards passing and no picks behind Tom Brady and Drew Brees, who both threw over 40 passes and topped 500 yards in Tom Brady's case. Tyrese Halliburton, 77 attempts for 444 yards. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Ahead of Kurt Warner.
Just ahead of Kurt Warner. Not the most efficient yards per attempt, but nonetheless, no picks, and he matriculated the ball down the field consistently. Look at that passing map there, Randy.
It's impressive. Look at those. Yeah. I just think that he's magnificent, and he should be right there where he is on the list, number 3.
And that graphic's perfect. It's fun. I love cross sport stuff like this, but also it drives home my point. They are not just the best passing team in the NBA this year, they are one of the best passing teams the NBA has seen in the last decade. So to the people who complain about the style of the game, I know they want to complain about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's foul baiting. Fine, you'll find something to complain about always. If it's Pacers Thunder, and there's no reason to think it will not be, it's going to be an incredible NBA Finals.
I'm so sad that it's not going to be the Knicks.
Oh no,
it's a shame. By the way, Lex Luthor, let's talk about whether or not Tyrese Halliburton is a superstar.
Do we have to? He's an incredible player who just put up a 30-point triple-double, 15 assists and 0 turnovers in a very crucial Game 5 of a conference finals. I don't care if he's a superstar. He played like one that night.
Was he one of the 12 people on the U.S. Olympic team?
I don't remember.
Didn't play, but
yeah, he was on the Olympic team. Okay, that makes sense.
He didn't play. Yeah, they're both Tyrese Halliburton and Anthony Edwards are superstars.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
No question about it. Hey, we also need to talk a little bit about soccer because SC's at home, right?
They are at home on Saturday facing off against San Jose. The big thing today, though, is coming up at noon. We will have the press conference with Diego Gigliani, Lutz Pfannenstiel, and then afterwards we'll be talking to David Critchley, the caretaker head coach for St. Louis City SC after that. So that's coming up soon. So, we got to hit the old wrap button.
And I hope that Daniel Muni, St. Louisan, gets an opportunity to play for San Jose on Saturday night. No, Saturday afternoon game, right? Saturday afternoon. Daniel Muni coming out of the St. Louis area. His brother Kevin graduated from Parkway North with my son. And so good luck to Daniel in his soccer endeavors this weekend.
I will throw this out. Steve Ralston and Michael Sorber. Those are two names, St. Louis guys who have been on MLS benches for multiple seasons. Sorber's been working with the Los Angeles FC and Toronto FC, and Steve Ralston, also a St. Louis guy. Guess whose bench he's sitting on?
Who?
Well, he's sitting on a bench inside of Energizer Park this weekend because he is an assistant with the San Jose Earthquakes. Just, pull him to the side, give a little, just say, Steve, come over here. Yeah, no, I talked to your GM. It's fine. Don't look at anybody. What do you think about these 3 quick things I have for you?
Okay,
just pull Steve Ralston over from the sideline, get the St. Louis boy while he's in the building, and wrap this thing up.
I'm good with that. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Critchley, you got one game. Critchley, we'll wrap this up. Don't worry, buddy.
Well, you are an interim, no doubt about it. Hey, the Battlehawks also play this weekend, Friday night. That is tomorrow night. They're at DC, and we will have the Battlehawks post-game show with Luke Slaybaugh and Judy Strotter. They're going to get you ready for the playoffs as well when the Battlehawks host the DC Defenders the night of June 8th, 5 o'clock start at the Dome. And you can celebrate Battlehawks football with the new Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Battlehawks box. Score up to 30% off Battlehawks tickets. Plus, get 4 of their famous breast strips and a side of potato wedges for just $8.99. Great deal only at Lee's Famous for Chicken. Caw-caw! There we go. This was a fun show today. This was good. Got a lot in. Cardinals off tonight, and then they'll open that series tomorrow night in Texas. 2011 World Series Redux. That'll be great. And there's not a ton of sports going on tonight, but you do have Edmonton going for the win in the NHL, trying to knock off Dallas. And you've got Indiana trying to advance in the NBA as well. And you've got a doubleheader on MLB Network between the Braves and the Phillies. So some good baseball to watch today as well. Great job today, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy. Great job as you.
It's Matthew Rocchio. And I'm Randy Karraker. We appreciate you watching the Randy Karraker Show and listening, of course. Don't forget you can find us anywhere now that you go to find your podcast. So that's pretty cool as well. Just take a walk and listen to the Randy Karraker Show podcast here on Sports Hub STL. We'll see you tomorrow.